Luigi Mangione situation is a perfect example as to why the American government wants to ban TikTok. Listen, see, after Luigi Mangione allegedly, a healthcare CEO in broad daylight, people say, yes, the American government said, are y'all sick? The American people said, I guess so. Now shut up talking to me. The American government said, and this is where they have their problem. People are fed up, whether it be with the Izzies trying to take over the Middle East, whether it be with America's very sketchy past, whether it be with terrible election candidates, but keeping with this example, whether it be about the United States healthcare system. Now, this isn't quite where the American government has its problem. They don't care if people are fed up. They care if people do something about it. And when everyone in a country gets fed up, people start to do. And this is where TikTok comes in. For people to be upset in the first place, they need information. So governments all over the world, not only the United States, need to manage how their citizens get this information. But they can't do that with TikTok because TikTok isn't under their influence. Okay, listen. Legacy news companies are under the American government's influence, meaning if you cross me, you finna have a problem. And legacy news companies don't want no problem, so they give people what I like to call empty information. They'll say someone like, Luigi Mangione, United Healthcare CEO. People be like, yeah, we know, but why'd he do it? Legacy news will be like, well, because public support, the American government be like, legacy news would be like, public support for the man that United Healthcare CEO is up. Now on to Jeff with the weather. But see, with TikTok, there's a lot more unfiltered information. You understand the whys of why things happen. The American government can't rear its head and put the influence on because TikTok will just be like, what? I know what you're thinking. Well, what about other social media platforms like YouTube, Facebook? Are they under America's sphere of influence? And the answer is yes. And here's where things start to get wicked. Now, according to Facebook/Instagram's owner, Dominican Mark, during COVID-19, he was hit up by many government agencies telling him to take certain posts down. Now, according to him, he said, no, we're not going to take them down. Now, listen to the next part closely because this is a perfect example of being in a sphere of influence. Because according to Mark, what happens next is the American government said, oh, okay, bet. And he says that's when Facebook starts getting investigated by the Department of Justice. They start getting sued. The American government starts really flexing their power towards them. Now, fast forward, Izzy start trying to take over the Middle East. American government looks at Marcus. Marcus says, what? What y'all want me to do? Shadow ban people? Take down posts? American government says, yeah. Mark says, all right. Because Mark don't want no problems. But hold on. TikTok does its fair share of post censoring as well, especially when the Izzies were trying to take over. And when I say was, I mean when it was like all over the news. The Izzies are still trying to take over to this day. Don't forget that. But I digress. TikTok censors some posts because even though they're not under the American government's sphere of influence, they still don't want to get on the American government's bad side, so they censor a few posts. And then they stopped censoring posts and just started letting people say whatever they want. The American government said, hey, yo, no, you can't do that. TikTok said, well, we make money doing it, so we just want to do it anyway. And just like what happened to Facebook and Instagram, that's when the problems start. American government said, hey, TikTok, sell your company to America. TikTok said, hell no. And that's why the American government say, you're banned, stupid. Basically, think of it like this. The American government is like a parent, a dad. Legacy media is this little boy, it's this little son gonna do everything the dad says. Social medias, American social medias, had a little problem with the dad at first, but now they cool. Now they listen to the dad. TikTok lives in China. TikTok too far from home to listen to Pops. Pops call TikTok up. TikTok come home. TikTok be like, no, Pops, I go to the club. I do what I want now. So then Pops tries to ban TikTok's son from the household. All right, so let's talk about the Los Angeles fires and why they happened. Spoiler alert, the explanation is actually very simple. See, the most important thing that you gotta understand is Los Angeles is a very dry place, meaning, listen closely, the foresty areas and the plant life in Los Angeles have adapted to live in this dry place, meaning they catch fire very easily. This is why you're always hearing about fires in the Southern California area where Los Angeles is. But hold on, what makes this particular fire that's happening in Los Angeles so bad? Well, the answer is right here in this picture. See, there was a super strong, fast wind that blew through Los Angeles, California, and the faster and stronger the wind is, the faster the fire spreads. You can quite literally see the embers flying over to that, remember, dry plant life. That thing spread like wildfire. Now you see where the saying comes from. Anyway, if you look really closely at this map of Los Angeles, you'll see that the fires are mainly located in the green areas where the foresty areas are. But here's where it starts to get wicked. Remember when I told you there was a super strong wind? Well, that meant firefighters couldn't fly helicopters to dump water on the fire. So the fire started spreading more and more. You have firefighters from all over Los Angeles going over to fight one fire, and then the wind would blow the fire to another area. But those firefighters in that area were helping the firefighters in this area. So they had to go here, there, here, and there. So again, dry plant life, super strong winds, and an inability for helicopters to get to the fires quickly made for a disastrous combination. In fact, this combination is so disastrous. I'm gonna tell you something that might surprise you. Being a person who's lived in Los Angeles their entire lives, I can tell you, nothing has come close to this. Your average person in Los Angeles never sees fires. Remember, big foresty areas, dry plant life is where fires happen. San Francisco, Los Angeles, that little dot right there, San Diego, other major cities, they don't see fires. They're not big foresty areas. There's less of a chance that places will catch fire. But of course, fires do happen in the foresty areas close to big cities, but the wind isn't super strong, so the firefighters fly over, they stop those fires before it gets really bad. So whenever the news says a fire just broke out in California, people in Los Angeles be hearing it like the rest of the world. They be going, oh man, blessings to the people who live in the foresty areas and their families. In fact, when I heard a fire broke out, I said, man, what foresty area is it happening at? I started getting texts talking about blessings to you and your family. I said, why'd he send me that? Because again, Los Angeles' foresty areas caught fire, very strong winds brought them around. Now I keep saying foresty area, but you probably seen some homes burning down. Well, parts of Los Angeles are intertwined with the foresty areas of Los Angeles. That's why many people lost their homes, sadly, especially the folks over here. This is where some of the wealthiest people in America live. The Pacific Palisades area, Malibu's over here. It's connected over here to Beverly Hills, the Hollywood Hills, some of the wealthiest Americans. Well, their houses are in the hills, in the foresty areas. That's the Hollywood sign right over there, in a foresty area. That's why you keep seeing videos of celebrity houses and rich people's houses being burned down. But to be clear, people of all financial status are mixed in everywhere in LA. It's not just wealthier people that are having their houses burned down. Now, all that being said, big shout out to the people of Los Angeles for making a natural disaster as big as this not feel like a disaster. Seeing people help their neighbor, the city constantly updating citizens about where the fire is, who should evacuate, hearing sirens blare left, right, the firefighters going from fire to fire. Special shout out to the firefighters. And of course to the people that lost their homes. I hope that when things look up for you, because they will, that happens immediately. Prayers up for Los Angeles. Okay, let's make this one quick. People are wondering why Drake dissed LeBron. Well, actually, he didn't. He more so expressed his feelings at LeBron. Hey, what's that? Well, it's a Drake tattoo of somebody who played for a team called the Irish and who wore the number 23. And well, in high school, LeBron played for the Irish and he wore the number 23. Now, Drake getting this tattoo shows you how close he probably thought him and LeBron were. But Drake had a problem. His definition of close is probably different than most people's. Drake's definition of close seems to be one of blind loyalty. Kendrick Lamar dissed me, Drake, so you can't like Kendrick Lamar. LeBron said. LeBron is seen turning up at Kendrick Lamar's concert. Drake said, why he do that? Drake's boy said, I think because he liked Kendrick music. Drake said, that was a rhetorical question, you out the crew. I got something for LeBron. So Drake unfollows LeBron James. How does LeBron respond to this? Well, he doesn't. But many months later, during LeBron's birthday, he's rapping Kendrick Lamar lyrics and looking like he's having a good time. Now, there's two things you gotta know about LeBron. One, LeBron James is a huge hip hop fan and loves reciting the lyrics to his favorite songs. He does this in a bunch of videos. So there's nothing to read into him reciting Kendrick Lamar's lyrics on his birthday. This is just something he does. He's not dissing Drake. He's not, it's just something he does. And two, LeBron James is a huge fan of Kendrick Lamar. If you're a huge fan of hip hop, you're probably a big fan of Kendrick Lamar. In fact, it's because of LeBron, Kendrick Lamar released an album called Untitled. LeBron liked his song so much, he told Kendrick to release the songs that he wasn't planning on releasing, his throwaway songs. So Kendrick says sure, and that's how Untitled was released. Now, here's where it starts to get wicked. See, Drake wasn't trying to hear all that. He said, look at this picture. You're supposed to be my boy. So after LeBron's birthday, Drake releases a song called Fighting Irish. Does that sound familiar? LeBron's mascot in high school was called the Fighting Irish. Now, let me be more specific. Drake didn't technically release this song. It was leaked. And I put quotes because Drake and a lot of artists have a history of leaking songs so they can technically fall back on saying, I didn't release a song, it just found its way to the public. Now, like I said, a lot of artists leak songs, but where Drake is different is he leaks diss songs. Because if the song does well, he says, ooh, that was all me. If the song doesn't do well, he says, oh, it was just a leak, and deletes the song. In fact, his first diss song towards Kendrick Lamar, Push-Ups, was a leak. People said, ooh, this song is good. So Drake is like, yeah, that's all me. This song against LeBron James, Fighting Irish, people are like, Drake, that's not it. So the song gets deleted. He says, oh, I don't know. Now, to distance himself even further, he never mentions LeBron James by name. He just says Fighting Irish. He just says, my brother went to the Kendrick Lamar concert. That hurt me. I thought we was cool. I went to a party. I saw you. You didn't talk to me. I thought we was cool. Kendrick Lamar said. Drake said, no, Kendrick, the TikToker making a video about me. You're not supposed to be here. Kendrick said, I'm not going to be here for long. I just wanted to say everything is going according to plan. You see, here's where it starts to get wickeder. All of this might be according to Kendrick's plan. In one of his diss songs towards Drake, he said, LeBron, keep the family away. Steph Curry, keep the family away from Drake. Basically saying Drake is a weirdo. Don't associate yourself with Drake. And well, Kendrick knew how much of a fan Drake was of LeBron and Steph Curry. As soon as I heard this line, I said, oh, Kendrick, a super villain. And like Drake said in his song, when we went to a party, you, most likely LeBron James, ignored me. And well, this is just speculation, but maybe it's because LeBron doesn't want to really be associated with Drake anymore. But I say speculation because there could be a million reasons. Maybe LeBron went to the party and didn't see Drake. Maybe LeBron heard Drake unfollowed him. Maybe he heard Drake doesn't like him. So LeBron said, oh, let me just not speak to him. Maybe LeBron just doesn't care and he has a wife and kids and a whole family. A million reasons. Regardless, Drake took it as LeBron ignored me at a party. LeBron always singing Kendrick songs. He likes Kendrick more than me. And Lord, I said I wasn't gonna make this a long video. Bro, if I had to talk about Drake one more time, Alright, so you know that song Miss Jackson by Outkast? I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh. Anyway, well, it's about a real person named Colleen Wright. Now I know what you're thinking. Colleen Wright? Ain't no Jackson in that name. Well, let me explain. First things first, y'all know Outkast, and if you think you don't, you probably heard that song, Hey Ya. Well, they sang that song. They're legendary musicians. Now, while they're on their legendary run, Andre 3000 meets a woman named Erykah Badu, and they have a son. And of course, Erykah Badu is Erykah Badu, another legendary musician. Now, what does this all have to do with Miss Jackson? Well, what if I told you Erykah Badu's birth name, in fact, was not Erykah Badu? It was Erykah Abi Wright. And remember, the song is about a woman named Colleen Wright. As you probably guessed, Erykah Badu's mother. So again, Andre 3000 from Outkast dates Erykah Badu. They have a kid. They break up. Andre makes a song called Miss Jackson addressed to Erykah Badu's mother because Andre had a problem. You know, when you're in a long relationship with someone, you meet their family, you meet their friends, and you potentially get very close to them. A lot of times, if you guys break up, then you end up breaking up with that person's family and friends as well. So Andre didn't know how to approach Erykah's mother to explain how sorry he was for breaking her daughter's heart. So he made a song about it. And they called it Miss Jackson because a lot of people can relate to that breaking up with the whole family thing. And since Miss Jackson's like a typical-ish name in the United States, it's kind of like saying John Doe. In fact, Big Boy has his own verse with his own relationship troubles in it. But his troubles are troubling. Now, when the song came out, Erykah's in her own studio making music. One of Erykah's people walks in and says, yo, Erykah, Andre and Big Boy just dropped their song, Miss Jackson. Erykah said, I ain't trying to hear all that. They said, nah, Erykah, you gotta hear this though. She said, all right, play that joint. She started listening to the song. Big Boy's verse come on. Remember, his troubles are troubling, so his verse is harsh. He talking about custody battles. He talking about I pay for everything, all that. Erykah said, yo, this ain't it. I'm about to go, y'all. And suddenly, in Andre 3000's beautiful, poetic way, he begins to describe the beginnings of their relationship. and how in love they were. Erica said, all right, I'm listening. He then says in what's basically a letter to Erica's mother, he wishes they could have felt that way forever. He wishes he could take all of Erica's sadness away. Everything happens for a reason, and no matter what, he'll always be there for their son. And of course, how sorry he is for breaking her daughter's heart. As you can imagine, Erica loved Andre's verse, and she said it made her really happy. She said her mom loved the verse so much she got a license plate saying Miss Jackson. And well, Erica and Andre remain friends to this day, and this is their son, 7. I guess that's what healthy co-parenting looks like. Now, y'all remember when Miranda Cosgrove's stalker tried to her, then ended up himself, right? Let me explain. See, Miranda had a problem. She just kept getting stalked. Yeah, she didn't only have one stalker, but we'll get to that in a second. First of all, if you don't know who Miranda Cosgrove is, she's a very beloved actress who starred in shows called iCarly and Drake and Josh. Now, after iCarly, she decides, hey, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to college. Forget this acting thing. Now, one of these college days, she invites some folks over to have a study group at her house. But nothing happens. But the second night, nothing happens again, and she lives her life like normal. But it's the third night when it goes down. She goes on a date. The date's pretty bad. So she decides to go to her parents' house, not her house. Ring, ring, ring. She gets a call. It's from the police. They say, yo, Miranda. She goes, what's good, playboy? They say, yeah, somebody just themselves in front of your crib. Do you know anything about this? She goes, absolutely not. I'm at my parents' house. Not my house. And this is where everything in the story ties in. Remember how I told you she was having a study group with some folks? Well, I didn't say that for no reason. They look back at surveillance footage while she's at her house having a study group, and they see a dude in a trench coat burying things in her backyard. Not approaching her house, but just digging up her backyard, burying stuff. In fact, they see that bro has been burying stuff in her yard for several days. They found a lunchbox filled with chocolate milk. They found a sharp, pokey item. They found a rope. And it was that third night. Remember, first night, study group, he in the backyard. Second night, she chilling at home, he in the backyard. Third night, when she decides to go to her parents' house, that's when he makes his move. He sees a woman driving down the street in a car that looks like Miranda Cosgrove's car. So he grabs his and starts letting them things go at the car. It's not Miranda Cosgrove, but he thinks it is. He fires 6 of them things. Thankfully, he sucks, so the person gets away. Dude goes, oh snap, and decides his only course of action is to light himself up and himself. And that's when Miranda Cosgrove gets the call like, yo, somebody just, you know what I'm saying? Now, it's been about 8 years since this has happened, and as you can imagine, this still affects Miranda Cosgrove to this day. She still stays at her parents' house a lot because she's had multiple stalkers. Back when she was first starting college, 2 years before the dude himself in front of her house, this dude started stalking her. Sent her a bunch of emails, sent her a bunch of gifts, showing up to her campus, and saying he was gonna himself because he's tired of love, blah, blah, something. And yes, these are 2 separate stalkers because Miranda gets a restraining order on bro, and then they throw bro into a psych ward because he was wilding. And while this stalker was in a psych ward, the other stalker is the one who showed up to her crib and himself. Now, as for Miranda, even though these are traumatizing events, she does seem to be taking it in stride, and she seems to be leading a happy life. Now, for anyone out there who has experience with this stuff, I'm sure they could tell you it's very tough to deal with the stalker as far as the law is concerned. You need a bunch of proof, and then after all that proof, you get a paper saying if they do something to you, that's when you can report it. And by then, it might be too late. So if anything like this has happened to you, then I'm truly sorry it has, and hopefully those laws get sorted out a little better in the future. Now, as many of you may remember, there was a rapper named Soulja Boy who was doing this interview about a time that his house was getting robbed. Now, in the story, he says he came out with the thang, Now, many people thought he was lying because how he was telling the story. It was pretty exaggerated. But what if I tell you he was actually telling the truth? Maybe. Let me tell you what really happened, and then you'll see what I mean. Now, first of all, for those of you that don't know, Soulja Boy's a rapper who got famous doing that Crank That dance. He had that song Kiss Me Through the Phone, and you remember Soulja Boy. Anyway, back in the day, he's releasing this album, right? So he has an album release party at one of his clubs. Okay, album release party goes great. So he drives home with his friends. They chilling. And then Soulja Boy has a problem. One of his friends slides in and says, Big Soulja. He says, yeah. They said, yeah, I think some of your fans might have followed us to your house. Soulja says, what? They said, yeah, I seen a car drive past. I think it's one of your fans. Soldier said, nah. Boom, they hear a noise. Now, Soldier Boy's in his home studio with his close friend A-Rap. Remember that name, that's important. That's when he hears the noise. Soldier Boy peeks outside. He sees a bunch of people running around. He looks back at his friend A-Rap and he says, yo, pass me the ting. A-Rap passes him the ting. Soldier Boy jumps outside and starts dumping. He gets one of them. The rest run away. The dude on the floor, Soldier Boy, he lifts the mask. And it's someone he recognizes, a man named Dupe, who's also important to the story. Remember that name. Soldier Boy, in his words, says, dang, God. Let's 2 more of them things go. The interviewer in this interview asked Soldier Boy, wait, so you, him? Soldier Boy says, no, of course. Then Soldier Boy changes his answer. He says, I don't want to speak on that. Now, everything I just told you was Soldier Boy's rendition of the story, but here's where it starts to get wicked. Remember, you had some homework. I told you to remember the names A-Rap, his close friend, and Dupe, the guy Soldier Boy says who he recognized when he took off the mask. Now, Soldier Boy never mentioned his name. He just said, I recognize the guy. Dupe comes out and says, it was me. And he says, yes, Soldier Boy certainly did me. But then he unveils his own set of details about what happened that night. Remember what we have so far. Soldier Boy comes home from an album release party. He sees people outside. Soldier Boy starts. Then Soldier Boy recognizes the guy he. Dupe says, well, first of all, the reason why Soldier Boy recognized me is because we were all close to Soldier Boy. You see these fellows behind Dupe? Well, Dupe was their managers, and they were dancers under Soldier Boy's record label. This is all true. Now, these gentlemen then make a song, and I want you to listen to this next part closely. While they were at Soldier Boy's album release party, they hear their song on Soldier Boy's album. But Soldier Boy never told them he was putting their song on the album. They just hear a Soldier Boy verse on it, and it's a Soldier Boy song now. They go, yo, we never gave that song to Soldier Boy. They look to their manager, Dupe, and say, yo, can you ask Big Soldier about this? Dupe says, gotcha. And now here's where the stories start to differ. Dupe says he pulls up to Soldier Boy's house. He was invited, he says. You'll see why their stories differ so much in a second, but he says he goes to the house. He says, Soldier. Soldier says, huh? Dude says, huh? Boom, smash Soldier with the palm. Soldier immediately ups the pole. Apparently, Soldier liked that. He said, word. Dude said, word? What you finna do with that? Palm. Gives him another one. That's 10 at this point. 5 plus 5. Soldier said, huh? Got. Let them things go. Dude runs outside. His boy also pulled up with him, I forgot to mention. But he was just sitting in the car. He thought it was going to be a quick thing. He goes and he grabs Dupe and takes him to the hospital. Dupe wakes up with handcuffs on him, and now here's where everything ties together. Basically, what Dupe is trying to say is Soldier Boy made up that whole story because Soldier Boy didn't want to get in trouble. Dupe smacked him. Soldier Boy up the pole. But again, this is according to Dupe. Remember, Soldier Boy said, some people broke in my house, I them. Dupe is saying no one broke in his house, he just me, and is trying to cover up the story. The police, though, said, we're just gonna put you in handcuffs while we figure out which one of y'all is lying. Well, I can't tell you why, but it seems they believe Soldier, so they took Dupe and his partner to jail. They tell him, look, y'all try to rob Big Soldier? 25 to life. They said 25 to what? They said, nah, with what evidence? What evidence does Soldier Boy have? The police said, all right, we'll give you 10 to 15. They said, where's the evidence? The police said, why you keep asking the same question? They said, okay, we finna get a good lawyer. And oh boy, did they get a good lawyer. A man by the name of Brian Steele, the man who basically got Young Thug freed. He walked in and he said, yo, Popo. And they said, oh, that's Brian. He said, yo. Where the evidence? The police go, evidence? Now, at this point, the police already had Dupe locked up for 9 months. So Brian tells him, look, you give him 3 more months, we'll call it a year, you let him go. We don't got to do a trial, we don't got to fight this and that. 3 more months. Police say, all right, deal. So it seems police don't even have crazy evidence about what happened that night, and it was left to a he said, she said type thing. But final person I want to mention is Soldier's friend A-Rap. Now, Arab and Soldier Boy stopped being friends a while back. They had a falling out, which is actually pretty important to the story. That means he really doesn't have a reason to lie for Soldier Boy. If anything, he'd probably make him look bad. But he says, look, people came into the house with masks. Soldier Boy's story is true. And when he does start to recap the story, his voice gets a little shakier and he seems a little shaken up. It seems he's telling the story from a traumatized point of view. He says the element of surprise, Soldier Boy just jumping out and spraying, is what saved them that night. That being said, I can't 100% say who was telling the truth. Not even the police can, even though they seem to be leaning more towards Soldier Boy's side of the story. So you tell me what sounds more believable. Did Soldier Boy make everything up so he wouldn't get in trouble for this guy, Dupe? Or did Dupe and his crew get mad that Soldier Boy may have taken their song and try to rob him? You let me know in the comments.